if there's something of this importance that's come out and nobody's talking about it, the media is not talking about it, then you have to ask yourself, what is going on? Why is the media not talking about this? Why are they not covering something so critical as what I discussed on Tuesday morning at whatever time it was, 1 o'clock in the morning when I posted that? This was what the information was that came out on a broadcast, and I think it was on Monday afternoon at some time. Not exactly sure what time it came out. And I was probably on a live stream at the time, and it didn't show I didn't have all the details at that time. So when I got off my live stream, that's when I saw this information. And the key is that when the Surgeon General made this announcement, why wasn't the mainstream media covering it? Why wasn't there, every major broadcast station out there covering it? And there's a reason why they weren't covering it. And I'm going to tell you what the reason is. That instead of covering that, this is what they covered. This came out today on ABC. Social distancing measures may be necessary until 2022 to contain coronavirus pandemic, a study shows. This is what they're talking about. Yet what the Surgeon General has said, and the fact that Trump had decided he was going to fund the WHO and then pulled that back, and that the issue was the WHO, the Centers for Disease Control, and Bill Gates' agenda. The Surgeon General has basically said that they've got the real data. They're going to be looking at it. Why didn't the media talk about that? Why didn't they cover that? Because there is such a thing as fake media. And these I don't even know how they can call themselves journalists, because there's absolutely no sentiment whatsoever about having integrity. The hack job that they're doing, this is another one. Posting anti-vaccine propaganda on social media could become criminal offense. This is the type of stuff that they're trying to create. This is the type of propaganda that they're pushing. And this is the reason that we have to become aware and know what the agenda is. Now, this information, this misinformation that's out there, this misinformation propaganda, the diversion, the distraction, preventing you from knowing the truth. Why would the media do this on the part of the conspiratorial propaganda component, and you just hearing stuff, and if it was true, the whole world would know about it? Well, I'm going to share something with you right now, and I want everybody to go and watch this, okay? It's called outofshadows.org. Go there and watch that movie. It's about an hour and a half long movie, Out of Shadows, and you will understand who controls the media, who controls Hollywood, and they go on, they explain some other things at the end, but this is about how the media and how some of the intelligence community have been together for over 60 years, programming our minds, desensitizing us. Watch the documentary, and then you tell me what's going on. Then you'll know what the agenda is. But this is the misinformation, distraction, diversion tactics from taking the real information that's empowering and trying to scare more people, to try to make you paralyzed by trying to take away your power, your autonomy. Now, why would anybody do this? What could be the hidden agenda? Well, the hidden agenda is right here, guys. This is what the hidden agenda is. And I'm going to show a video here in a second. They won't end up getting the number of RF chips and the number of mandated vaccines and the number of basically sheeple that they want. And so that they basically have said that, according to Gates in this interview, that he and his colleagues don't want a lot of recovered people who have acquired natural immunity. Instead, they are hoping that the human race becomes reliant upon vaccines and antiviral medication. There's a world community that's getting this information. So this is applicable to every human being on the planet. Okay, we all are sovereign. We all have our own autonomy. Yet, it seems, and we all have a certain knowledge base, no matter what our expertise are, but the scientific community and the medical community, they're basic fundamental components that they know. They understand. There's certain principles of science. It seems like, with this pandemic, every person with scientific knowledge and medical know-how, medical knowledge, have just picked it up and thrown it out into a trash can and completely discarded every fundamental aspect of physiology that they've known and recognized and they've been trained on. It's like they've totally ignored it. I don't understand that. Why all of a sudden every logical sequential thought process in your mind has just been discarded. Everything that you've learned over the years has just been literally discarded and said, you know what, I'm going to forget about every physiological principle that I've learned, every scientific theorem that I've learned, every basic. This is like the ABCs, okay? In trauma, we do ABC, airway, breathing, circulation. When you lose your mind, when you can't think, when everything's hitting the fan and you're just panicked and you don't know what to do, you go back to the basics. You go back to the ABCs. Here in this case, with this pandemic, the supposed pandemic, every A, B, and C has been discarded. Every fundamental understanding of how the body works has been totally thrown off. The virus model, understanding how to test for something, every aspect of science has been discarded. They're talking about using real-time polymerase chain reaction testing, PCR testing, which the developer of that testing said in the 1980s when he developed it, this cannot be used to test. Then on top of that, you've got, unless you've got an actual genomic sequence, you cannot use PCR testing to diagnose something. The second thing is every testing modality right now has been shown to have false positives, and now multiple studies that go as recently as 2018 all the way back to 1984 show that people that had or subjects, whether it's mice model, rat model, or even in humans, when they were given the flu shot, they tested positive for coronavirus, they tested positive for COVID-19. So of course you're going to have a high elevated synthetic elevation of these positive numbers. And if you still look at the numbers right now, the number of people that have died from COVID-19 compared to the reported numbers now, not the misinformation, but the reported numbers are still less than the seasonal flu. But then you take into case that the CDC is changing their mandate on how you report a death, that doctors and hospitals are being told to change the way that you list the cause of death, that when Candace Owens called out the governor of Connecticut for saying that a baby had died from coronavirus, she's asked for criminal sanctions for him to be brought against him. Why? Because yelling fire in a theater is against the law. So then why is he creating panic by saying this child died of COVID-19, whereas in fact he was suffocated by accident by his caretaker who admitted it? There's so much false information. Hospitals that are completely dead, nothing happening in there. They're people that are telling me, sending me information, doctors, nurses, causes of death have been altered. Mannequins are being used to demonstrate all the people that are dying and the necessity for this intubation. So they're showing actual mannequins, but posing them as humans, real human beings. There's so much misinformation. Same person images, but died multiple times. They're showing footage from one hospital and using it for other hospitals. There's so much misinformation in the media. So why aren't they talking about what the Surgeon General put out? Because again, it's part and parcel of their agenda for the misinformation campaign. And they don't want you to know what the truth is. So what is the agenda? What is the end game? I'm going to play a video for you guys. I want you to see it.